Welcome again to Geon Consulting. My name is Abhijit Kirkar, and we specialize in helping companies to structure their value models, business models, and ecosystems, or VBE in short. So, first, let me explain what value models, business models, and ecosystems are, and how this framework was discovered, and how it would help you. I was working in the artificial intelligence domain, understanding how artificial intelligence would help in creating value in different areas. And before that, I worked in the telecom, manufacturing, retail, information technology, banking, and financial services area. And in each of these areas, my objective was to grow business by making it relevant to the customer's needs. And it is here that I stumbled upon something interesting. A common feature which I observed in all these diverse areas. It was the relation between the value for the customer, the way it was delivered, and the way the value was perceived by the ecosystem. We talk about ecosystems in nature, and this is precisely what was happening with the companies. That summed up the trajectory of the company. It was dependent on a number of factors. Primary among them were the business model and the ecosystem. I then structured it into a model and called it the VBE model. So let's look at what the VBE model is and what its relevance is to your business. V stands for value. Your business exists to deliver value. It is what the customer pays you for. The B stands for business model, which is how you deliver this value. And E stands for the ecosystem, or who, which is the environment which delivers and sustains this value. This is the VBE model. Now, the interesting point to note is that for the last 150 years, any company which has dominated an industry has an underlying VBE model which helps it become the number one player in that field. Take any company which has dominated a certain industry, like Microsoft in the desktop software field till the year 2000, where it had a 98% of the market share, while Apple, which didn't go by an ecosystem play, had only 2% market share. Here, Microsoft had an ecosystem, the Wintel and the Taiwanese board makers, while Apple did the hardware and software themselves. Another example is Google in the search area, or Apple after the year 2000, when they went with a VBE model with the iPod and iPhone and a vibrant ecosystem to sustain it with the iTunes platform. And then the app stores consisting of an ecosystem of app developers and music label companies. Here again, history repeated itself as Apple's competitor, Nokia, established in 1865, stuck to its "we make the best phones alone" model. Another example of a successful ecosystem is SAP in the ERP area, with its integrators and trainers and training to get the SAP developers ecosystem running, while other ERP players like IFS and IBS tried to go alone and failed. Each of the above examples have an underlying VBE model which sustains them. Either the value is great, like search in Google's case, or in other cases, a business model or an ecosystem, or a play of all three. Some of these companies have dominated when their value model was right. But when the value model changed, they failed because they did not adopt their value model to the changed ecosystem. Kodak, Sears, Blockbuster, Borders, and perhaps General Electric, GE, which was an iconic name, also stumbled in the digital area as they did not study their VBE model. Which now brings us to another concept called paradigm shift. Now, a new VBE model, or for a new VBE model, change usually starts with a paradigm shift. Though a paradigm shift is not necessary to create a new VBE model. But when a paradigm shifts, the whole industry shifts and a new VBE model emerges. The what value, how it is delivered, and who delivers and supports it changes. Like when the Wright brothers discovered flying, the paradigm shifted and a whole new VBE model came in its place. Like the aircraft manufacturers, the aircraft catering industry associated with the travel, and the aviation fuel industry. Or when the transistor was invented, or when the internet started, or when the shipping container was invented. These are all paradigm shift events. But an example of a VBE which started without a corresponding paradigm shift was Apple iTunes or App Stores, which was started by rearranging the business model with an existing paradigm, within an existing paradigm. There was already music and MP3 players, but how the music was delivered legally changed. The VBE changed because Apple innovated the business model and the ecosystem, which in turn catapulted Apple to the top and turned the tables on Nokia's phone business. Nokia was stuck to the old model of manufacturing and selling a phone. When Nokia or Samsung or Motorola or Sony Ericsson sold a phone, that was a 100% transaction, a phone in exchange for your money. But when Apple sold a phone, that was only 70 to 90% of the transaction of selling a phone. 10 to 30% revenues came with apps, music through the ecosystem. Now, why is this relevant to your business? It is because if you look ahead and innovate and change your VBE model to match the reality which is possible in the future, your company will be relevant in the future. A VBE model is also sustainable and scalable. Remember, Microsoft had 98% market share and Apple had a 2% market share because of the VBE model. And the tables were turned by Apple after the year 2000 when it embraced the VBE model and displaced its competitors. Let's look at the journey of VBE evolution in the next few slides. We see the same pattern happening throughout history. You can read through this slide deck. The most important point here is digital is a mindset and technology is just an enabler. but you have to start with value creation for your business. Look at the next videos on how we help customers grow with their value model, business model, and ecosystems. You can write to us at info@geonconsulting.com. Thank you and hope you enjoyed watching this video.